The story of the Road of Promise centers around a synagogue in an unspecified time and place.
Undefined history, undefined moment, undefined place, but there's some kind of pogrom threat.
There is a community that's in trouble, and they look to their spiritual leader, in this case the rabbi, for solace and guidance.
They've sort of sought out the rabbi to kind of lead them. What are we going to do in this situation, this terrible situation that we may be in? And he has them remember back through their history. He's the guy who's doing the narrative, setting up the biblical scenes, and then the kind of biblical characters and the chorus take it from him. He's the kind of cue.
Into this situation is deposited a young boy, a 13-year-old boy, who has never been in a synagogue before and has had no religious training or upbringing at all. And in fact, it's news to him that he's Jewish. So the community then focuses its attention on him. He becomes the center of this evening in many ways, because this is a fresh, new audience for these stories, someone who doesn't have any baggage or any history.
The Road of Promise really relates to, for me, my childhood. It's a rabbi teaching a 13-year-old boy, and I went through that as a kid.
You have someone trying to learn about their background, trying to learn about who they are, as a lot of 13-year-olds do. I see that with my own teenage boys and daughter.
The fact that the 13-year-old represents a kind of a dreamer, prophet, naive, seer, visionary, the power of that at the end, he's the guy who basically wins the day. And you don't have to be Jewish, you don't have to be religious, you don't have to really have any kind of theological or specific cultural background at all. That's a very human idea, that somebody with a vision can move forward. And I think that's really powerful. The adversary is, again, there's a great theatrical device in that he is the person who doubts everything.
He is the devil's advocate. He's the person who's always saying, but really? And what about this? How does this really work? So he's the goad. He's the person who does not take things at face value, and maybe comes across occasionally as cynical, but it's a very important counterpoint so that it's not all just easygoing.
And I identify with the adversary, and I know that the adversary is a straw man who's going to be knocked down. So I'm going to have a lot of disagreement with where this piece is going, but I'm still interested in seeing how they're going to weave that together.
I'm always questioning my beliefs as a Jewish person. Every Jew does. We're always searching for our Jewish identity. You learn that in any class, any youth group.
It's both good and bad, but great pieces of art almost always seem to feel current, and they tend to tap into problems that arise often in our society. So even though this piece was written for a specific purpose in 1937, and you might think, well, that we're past that, unfortunately we don't seem to be.
One would hope that we would have reached a point by 2015 where this would all just be historical, and that the idea of religious persecution and such would be old news, and wow, is it not? It's all very current.
Recent events in Paris and Copenhagen and elsewhere are frighteningly relevant.
The more that we know about each other and where we've all come from and the struggles that our people have gone through, the better that we can move forward as a world culture rather than a separated culture.
No matter your religious directions, no matter where you come from, how old are you, no matter race, no matter anything, it's just something people can connect to in a level that is personal to them.
Having to travel this road is not just for the Jewish faith. It's for all faiths, it's for all people. It's very relevant to today as we're trying to find our way through the world that we live in now.
I think that it's a piece that stands on its own musically. The history is extremely interesting. It's an important work, and I'm delighted that we're able to perform it and record it.
We're going to keep it from being lost in time, and from now on, people will be able to experience this piece thanks to the Collegiate Chorale production.